Hi, it's Diederik Gelderman here, speaker, trainer, author of 4 published books and founder of Turbocharge Your Practice, Veterinary Productivity Academy and Veterinary Business Academy. Welcome to today's blog. The next few video blogs are dedicated to one topic, and that topic is to how to increase your learning outcome, how to learn quicker, faster, if you want to put it that way. Now, why should I want to concentrate on that? Well, there's a whole heap of reasons actually. The first is that there's a massive new science, and it may appear to be oldish now. This science is called the science of accelerated adult learning, and everything we're going to share over the next few weeks comes from that accelerated adult learning science, and that was developed in the 80s and the 90s, and most of the work was done in Eastern Europe, and especially by a guy called Lozanov, L-O-Z-O-N-O-V. So that gives you a whole heap of references that you can look up on Google if you want to delve a little bit further into this. Or send me an email if you like a particular topic that we talk about in the next few weeks, and I'll send you more detail. So it's a new science. It's a science that not many people know about. And I'll just give you my personal example from it. I did a master's degree in small animal medicine and surgery in 96. And it was a 4-year degree by correspondence in those days, because that was before the days of the internet, okay? And in the first 3 years I got credits and passes. Late in my 3rd year, early in my 4th year of the masters, I learned this science. I was doing my NLP master's training and my NLP teacher's training, and I learned this accelerated adult learning material, and I applied it to myself, of course. And in that last year, I did 1/3 less study, I did 1/3 less work, and I got straight D's and HDs, distinctions and high distinctions. So when it makes such a profound difference for me, I'm so passionate about it, and I want to share it with you. Now, the second reason I'd like to share it, aside from being new, is training is one of the biggest things that we do badly in our practice. Typically in most practices there's no training protocols, there's no time put aside for training, and when I go into practices and when I attend workshop with practices, etc., I hear again and again and again, "Oh, we taught them that yesterday, don't they know it yet?" You know, those sorts of things. And in many practices actually the default situation has become, I'm not going to train them, I can't afford the time, they don't do it properly, and by the way, once I train them, they're going to leave anyway, because, you know, as we have such a high transition rate. Well, the thing is, what about if what about if you train them and they leave? Okay, fine. You train them, you invest the money in training, and eventually they leave. And in a way, that's a good thing, because they're moving up into a career path that's more suited to them. So you've been part of their mentoring process for a while, and that's fantastic. And if they move on to a better career, good on them. But the other side of that coin is, what if you don't train them and they stay? That's horrific. Then you've got your clients having to work with uneducated, untrained people in your practice. That's just horrible. So the other thing about training is, if you look at the wants and needs of A-class players, A-class team members, and I've already done a couple of videos on what they want and what they want from you, and why they are attracted to a job, and why they stay in a job, you know, what motivates them and what retains them. And one of the biggest things is ongoing learning, being a little bit better today than I was yesterday, and a little bit better tomorrow than I am today. So the way you retain A-grade players in your team is by giving them regular and ongoing training. So training in most practices costs a fair bit of money. If you invest in external trainers, if you spend the time to do internal training, etc., and I'll give you an example in my practice in Green Hills. We had a budget of $40,000, a training budget for a year. Now, if I can show you in these next two videos, and it's not an if, it's I can show you, providing you decide to implement these strategies, I can show you how you can decrease your learning time required by 1/3 and increase your outcome hugely, exponentially. So that's going to allow you to make much better use of your training budget. So that's a summary of why I'm focusing on this for the next few weeks. Before I go there, before I start, I just want to answer a question that sort of comes to me again and again and again via email or SMS or whatever. And regularly after my blog goes out on a Tuesday, whether it's a video one or a written one or a podcast or whatever, I get feedback from clients saying, hey Dick, this is fantastic. Hey Dick, I implemented this and it worked really well. Hey Dick, I hadn't quite looked at it from this perspective and wow, that's made a difference to me. And amongst a lot of that stuff, I also get, why do you do it? Why do you make sure that every Tuesday, without fail, at 8:15 or thereabouts in the morning, Sydney time, you get a blog out to us? You know, it costs you time and effort and da. Why do you do it? Well, and of such great quality, and people say, you know, there's very rarely any rubbish in there. There may be the bit here and there that doesn't apply to me specifically, but the bulk of it is just awesome content. Why are you giving away such good, high-end, you know, free content? And the answer is very simple. I love what I do. I love sharing content. In workshops, I love seeing the light bulbs go off when people get it. And those emails that I mentioned a couple of seconds ago about, hey, I applied this and it worked really well, or I hadn't thought about it from this perspective, those are the sorts of things that keep me motivated and keep me going and keep me producing content for you. So thank you for the feedback. And by the way, if you ever want to delve more deeply into any of these topics, if there's something you see and say, hey, I'd like to know a little bit more about it, send me an email, send me a phone call, contact me on Skype, and we can set up a one-on-one session. And if you ever want to work together for a slightly longer period of time and really delve into a topic for a month or 6 weeks or something like that, I'm only too happy to work with you on a short-term, you know, project type basis to implement something of this ilk or that ilk or whatever. Anyway, on to today's training. About 4 weeks ago, we held our mastermind, marketing mastermind 3-day event in Sydney, and you may have seen some of the marketing for that coming out in March this year. I did a whole heap of marketing stuff, and on the back of that was promoting a 6 months marketing masterclass, which is divided into 3 phases. The second phase was the workshop in Sydney, a 3-day workshop in Sydney. It just went stunningly well. The feedback was unbelievable. Now, so that event went Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. On the Friday morning, the attendees walked into the room, and I asked them to do what's called a morning review. So what I asked, I gave them 5 minutes, and I said, find a pal or a buddy or a couple and sit down and talk about the major learnings, the major outcomes, the interesting stuff that you got on Thursday. So let me explain the purpose of that morning review. As you know, we have a number of different levels of memory. We've got short-term memory, we've got medium-term memory, and we've got long-term memory, and then permanent memory. Short-term memory, now let me just go back and give you a big picture. Everything you've ever come across, everything you've ever learned, everything you've ever engaged with, you've remembered, okay? It's in here somewhere. And the modern theory is that it's put in a filing cabinet. You've got a whole heap of filing cabinets in there, just like you have filing cabinets in your office with hanging files, etc., etc. And everything you learn is filed somewhere in that filing cabinet. And the reason that you can't retrieve something a week later or a month later or a year later is because you haven't marked it properly, you haven't coded it properly, you haven't put a tag on it that says, that's where it is and that's how I can find it. So when you learn to code and tag the information, properly in inverted commas, then you'll be able to retrieve it much more easily and much more at will. So these next few weeks, the reason that you will be able to get a massively increased learning outcome in much less time is, guys, I'm going to share the tips and the tools and the strategies and the techniques with you, which will allow you to tag information a lot more accurately and securely so that you'll be able to retrieve it. So the short-term memory is a very small memory, and it's a little bit like a basket, if you like, or a bin, or whatever you want to call it. You can only put so many things in it. And when you put so many things in it, it starts to overflow and you can't cram any more in. So unless you clear out your short-term memory and put the material into medium memory, this basket is going to be full to overflowing, and it doesn't matter how much more stuff you want to put in, it's just going to fall out the sides. So you have to clear that short-term memory out on a very regular basis and put the material into medium-term memory. And then medium-term memory is a lot longer, but it still can be overcrowded, and you've got to pass it on to long-term and then permanent. So how do you clear out your short-term memory and put it into medium-term memory? Well, you review the material in 24 to 36 hours. Hence the morning review that we did at that workshop. And if you're in a workshop with me, and I have some workshops that go for a week, we will do a morning review first thing every morning for the whole period of time for the workshop. So the idea is that if you learn something today, or if you teach your team members something today, you review it in 24 to 36 hours, and that's going to kick it into medium-term memory. Interesting challenge came up at the workshop, and a couple of the practice owners says, "Hey, look, I've got team members here that aren't necessarily on every day, and if we teach something today and they're not here tomorrow, how do we get them to review that?" Well, really interesting, a young lady from a really go-ahead practice owner, young lady from Melbourne called Di Moran, and thank you, Di, I am attributing this to you, came up with an awesome way to do it, and it's an app, and it's called the Watts Group app. I know the name is really weird, but type it into your app store and you'll find it. And that's a way that she's found that her whole team can review what they learnt today. They can review it tomorrow. It's working really well for her. Thank you, Di. So once you've put material into from your short-term to your medium-term memory, you need to clear out medium-term and put it into long-term. And the way you do that is review it in 5 to 7 days. Okay, so review it first of all 24 to 36 hours, then 5 to 7 days, and then you review it in 3 months. And when you do that in 3 months, you kick it into permanent memory. So they're the strategies of progressively moving information through the various levels of memory and ending up with a much more organized filing system in your permanent memory that you can access a lot more readily and a lot more easily. So what I'm going to suggest is that in your training plan, in your training program, in your practice, whatever protocol for training you've got, you find a way to make this happen. Because when you do, your training outcomes are going to be massively improved, and your time required to train will be significantly decreased. So that's one application of this information from today, and also the information that we'll learn over the next few weeks is for your team training. The other application, and there's two applications that I can see. You're doing CPD or CE, continuing education, and we all have to do that as a compulsory thing. And many practice owners and practice managers that I talk to are doing voluntary ongoing training, whether that's doing an MBA or whether that's doing another degree of some type, or maybe even learning a second language or things along those lines. So remember that as well as applying to and in your workplace, this applies to and in your private life, just like it applied to me in my master's degree. Okay, so that's the second place that you can use it. And the third place is what really excites me, and I've seen some brilliant outcomes from this application, and that's with your kids. Just imagine going to your son who's just, or your daughter who's just entering high school or college or university or something like that, and saying, hey kiddo, how would you like to be able to decrease your study time by 1/3 and get a better outcome, get better marks and study 1/3 less? You reckon they're going to jump and give you a hug and a cuddle and a kiss and say, please tell me? You know, they're going to shake it out of you. So this is one of the ways that you can share this information with your children and help them become better at learning and require less time to do so. So that's it for today. I'll see you on the blog next week. Bye.